I'm Lexi Reese. I'm running for U.S. Senate from California, and I stand with the writers and actors who are striking now and asking a very reasonable question. What are we going to do about artificial intelligence in the workplace? This is not just an artist and writers question. This is a national question. I've studied the labor markets and the future of work, and I want to share something that's really important for folks to understand. Back in the 1970s, we look at a graph of U.S. productivity against wages. How are average Americans and families doing? And what we see in the 1970s is there was this steep divide. The country and companies started doing really well, and families and individuals were doing better than they had been, but they weren't rising nearly as much in wage growth as we were in productivity growth. Why? Because businesses were starting to offshore and outsource labor, and so they were growing with their expenses at a much lower rate, so their profits were higher, where American families were not benefiting from that growth as much. Now, what's really interesting at this moment, as we've talked about before, U.S. productivity is dipping. The reason for that, in part, is because we have more jobs than people. So if you need more people to do the work that you're producing, whatever that good or service is that you're producing, you're not producing as many goods or services, so therefore you're not making as much money. That is not what makes businesses go. So if you introduce AI with no regulatory framework, you give businesses, and this is a very reasonable choice, the option to solve their personal labor shortage. You say, well, I don't need writers to write copy. I can use ChatGPT. I don't need actors to be background actors because I can use artificial intelligence. Now remember, we're in a stage where 40% of people today cannot cover $400 of extra expenses. 40%. 53 million people are living in low-wage jobs that aren't turning into good family-sustaining careers. And again, not surprisingly, 70% of people feel the system is rigged against them. Imagine if we don't put people in the Senate and in every level of government who don't deeply understand technology. I do. Nobody is an expert on AI because it's moving so fast. Nobody's an expert on technology because it's moving so fast. But you can have reasonable conversations with people across sectors if you with urgency say, hey, let's not just guess the worst is going to happen. Let's imagine it definitely will. People will lose their jobs and people's lives and livelihoods could be destroyed. How, with urgency, do we prevent that? So the actors and writers are asking exactly the right question. And if we get people operating together, people working together on just this question, how do we make life more livable for everyone in the U.S.? And how do we bring access to opportunity in line with productivity for the country? So the country grows because people are growing. And when people are fulfilled, they're able to fulfill the potential that they have at work, which enables businesses to fulfill theirs, which enables our economy to grow and democracy to be stabilized. I'm Lexi Reese. That's why I'm excited about the economy. That's why I'm running for Senate.